Howdy, folks. Thanks for tuning in to Bluegrass Roadshow. This is episode 0, the first official episode that we've gotten the chance to record here for Bluegrass Roadshow. So thank you for being here. We're excited for everything that's inspiring. This is a project that's been a long time coming, so it's glad to finally get it out into the world. Today we're going to talk a little bit about who we are, how this project came to be, and what all you can expect from us here in the future. What we've got going on, obviously, for most of you that's tuned in, you probably stumbled upon us either on our website or on Instagram. We appreciate your support already. Just getting here is half the battle, so hopefully we're entertaining enough for y'all to stick around. But anywho, Bluegrass Roadshow was kind of a project that is an inception, I think, between the two of us here, my good buddy Sonny, Sundog, and something that we've been working on here the last 6 months, basically all of 2026. After last year was a pretty, I think, transformative year for the two of us, catching quite a few shows, plenty of Billy shows and many more bluegrass shows along the way. And we were both kind of feeling pretty inspired and knowing that there was something to do here. To give you guys a little bit of backdrop, Sonny and I have been good buddies for a long time, and we've done a lot together outside of the music and other fun projects, and we knew we'd always land on something. We just didn't know quite what was going to stick, and I'm glad this is the one that stuck. So I'd like to introduce Sonny and let him tell a little bit about what we got going on here, and we'll get into it today.
Well, howdy, folks. I'm Sundog, or you guys were better known as Sonny. Kind of the man behind the operation, trying to work out all the logistical aspects of the website, podcast, everything else you guys are seeing. Kind of a couple months ago, Hunter brought the idea to me of starting Bluegrass Roadshow, a website that's kind of informative on all things bluegrass and what's upcoming and everything else, along the way. And we kind of just had some more talks about it and talked about it, and finally we were able to put some pen to paper and get this project, up and going. And we've just kind of had more avenues pop up along the way, and been thinking of other ways to bring you guys content and bring you guys kind of behind the scenes and, show you how the butter's churned around here. And it's been a really cool project getting to work on it with Hunter. And, he's given me a lot of, free range on this project, and it's been very cool. And it's I'm very excited to see where this goes. And I appreciate Hunter letting me hop on the train with him and, go on this ride.
Well, we are definitely all along this ride together. I know for a fact I couldn't do this project without Sundog, as for many things that we've done in life. So teamwork always makes the dream work, and I'm glad that he sees the vision and he's here to help us. I'd say, originally, you got to kind of think about how are we going to get people to our website. I feel as if in today's times, as many of you all know, everything's so fast paced. It's a 10-second reel and we're on to the next. How many people are actually hopping online to read something or look at physical media anymore? That being said, there's definitely a niche out there, and this niche is continuing to grow right now, as is, bluegrass and traditional music. So I kind of came to the conclusion late last year in 2025 there about putting this project together and just making it a place that could spotlight up-and-coming artists as well as what we personally enjoy, but also kind of a historical aspect of things. I've always kind of been a history nerd. Doesn't matter what it is. I just love facts and information. But you talk about bluegrass facts and information, now you've got me. I'll sit here all day long and talk to you, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of episodes where we can get into all of that. That being said, I wanted a place to kind of advocate and post some of this stuff that, wasn't just Instagram or Facebook or some other social media that's so fast-paced. That being said, in order to get people to your websites, you got to advertise properly. So what led first was the inception of the Instagram page to kind of build that following initially, and we're obviously still working on and we'll continue to forever work on. But just drawing people to this actual media to where they can sit down, take a load off, take a deep breath out of this high stress world and just enjoy themselves for a minute. If you enjoy bluegrass, you're going to enjoy what we're putting out over here. And then on top of that, there's so many artists that need spotlight. So I thought, what the hell, I love to talk. And I'd love to talk to some of these people and if I could, provide some more listeners and supporters to their music, but also help people kind of keep track of what's going on and where it's at. Um, so that being said, we've kind of came up with this little calendar idea that we've slowly been fine tuning and working on. And if you guys check it out and have any suggestions, please reach out to us on that. But just wanted to create a space to where you can go up and take a look in your area or a specific date, or even by searching a specific band, kind of get into where their tour schedule is, and it's a little bit more interactive, a little bit easier to get to than just looking up these bands individually, on social media or online. So we'll get into that a little bit more. But yeah, all of this is just really, I think I've seen a lack of a little bit in the music industry, a lack of creativity in a sense of advertisement and attention to detail, and kind of just keeping it grassroots and what I think I enjoy and what I think others will enjoy. That, we're listening to traditional music, so let's do things a little bit more traditional here. So that being said, last year when we were, on the road catching all these shows, Sonny and I got the chance. We won some tickets to go check out Billy Strings, Brian Sutton, and of course Royal Massot. And this was at the Bluegrass Hall of Fame Theater there in Owensboro, Kentucky. Um, so we spent a good full day hanging out down there, checking the museum out, hanging out and listening to all the picking and recording some stuff, and just getting the chance to walk around that space and see what they have on display there, and how all of this has culminated over the last, close to 100 years now, we could say. Um, with bluegrass and traditional music. But there was just so much inspiring artifacts in there, and thanks to read and physical media to look at. Um, you know, that's something you're not gonna find on a website, and, especially after visiting there, I've reached back out to 'em, and I've tried to find more out about specific information that I saw there, and it just leads you on these wild goose chases that ultimately often just lead to nowhere because there's a lack of recording, at the end of the day. So, that being said, we need to do better at recording, and we need to do better at, preserving physical media, and that's ultimately the mission here. I think if I'm not mistaken, it was maybe the Jerry Garcia exhibit last year, that they were kind of focusing on there at the Bluegrass Hall of Fame, as well as much other going on. Um, and I'll let Sonny touch on it a little bit too. But yeah, it was a very unique experience to get there and walk around and see some of these old instruments and some of these old original recordings or printing of vinyls and that kind of thing. And it was truly just a unique, very inspiring experience that I'm glad those folks are working down hard down there, based on donations to keep that museum afloat. So if you haven't gotten the chance to check them out online, and if you're passing through that area or got a free weekend, buzz over to Owensboro and check out the Bluegrass Hall of Fame there.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely what kind of Hunter touched on there of, just the history that is kind of preserved inside of those walls at the Bluegrass Hall of Fame. And I believe recently they just kind of did a massive renovation and kind of, modernized the space a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. And it's kind of really has, just brought a light to that area and to that space. And um, kind of like Hunter said, is, you walk inside those walls and everything around you just kind of really tells a story, not even reading the placards or anything else. You just kind of look at the instruments that are there and everything else. And it just really, just speaks to you and just kind of shows you, what, the years have gone through the past and everything else in bluegrass history and just music history in general as well. Like Hunter said, they had the Jerry Garcia exhibit there, and that was very moving. And they had a lot of, memorabilia and other things that was donated by the estate and everything else, which really makes, the Bluegrass Hall of Fame, very, rich in value as, just the meaningfulness behind it. Having all that stuff really donated, it's not being purchased, and just to be able to have that stuff shown off and to the younger generation that is not too invested into the history behind bluegrass and everything else. And it really taught me a lot whenever I was there, kind of getting into bluegrass a couple of years ago. Hunter kind of showing me the way about it and everything else, and that really kind of opened my eyes to what this, rich history dates back to and everything else, the Bill Monroe exhibits, everything else, the old bean blossom posters you see on the wall from,
Mhm.
just right down the road from me that I never really knew about. And it really kind of was like, wow, this is, a lot of cool stuff happened around us. And, the rich just history and music was just, plentiful throughout the whole weekend and everything else. And it was very neat, sitting down at the hall and, watching, Billy Bryan and Royal perform and just kind of it almost like the old, history was just kind of being brought up and, all the old songs they were playing was just, kind of moving in a sense whenever, really sat down and you kind of took it all in after walking through the museum throughout the day. And it was a very cool experience. I've, speaking for myself, I know probably speaking for Hunter as well, that it was, just a moving weekend in general, just being down there and getting to soak up all the history.
Yeah, and on top of that, Billy and Royal and, I'd say also specifically Brian did a really good job, of kind of broadcasting and telling us a little bit more about the history of the songs that they were playing, which is something that I appreciated you saying. Um, and like you said, it was definitely moving, even though it was a seated show. It was very moving. Just hearing, some of the lore that kind of comes behind all of this. And like Sonny mentioned there, that the old Brown County Jamboree up in Bean Blossom, Indiana, which was, originally started by Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys. Just I believe that sign set up on Highway 135, which is, just right down the road from where Sonny and I grew up, which is kind of southern Indiana, Ohio River Valley region there, near the Louisville area. So we grew up in an area, full of bluegrass, and I'll even say for myself, I only knew about it so much. First person I ever heard play string band music was my great aunt Maria, and she loved the Dead and she loved old folk and fiddle music, and she played the dulcimer specifically in her little band there when they'd get together. And that was the first person I ever heard kinda play that kinda music, and, but never really stuck with me, growing up, I would say, until I would say I was about 17 or 18, late high school when I really started getting into it for myself, and then it's only grown over the years since then, and it's basically, become a big part of my daily life and, primary focus here building this Bluegrass Roadshow project that we're working on. Bluegrass really consumes a lot of my life, and that's all right because there's a lot worse things that could definitely be doing that.
Amen.
And we're talking about some of those artifacts there. You'll see if you guys check out our website. I believe it was from the late 80s or early 90s, but there was a handwritten set list from Jerry Garcia there in that Jerry exhibit there, from a show that he played with David Grisman. And if I remember correctly, it was on loan from David's son, Sam. So, that being said, it's just little things like that that you saw in the museum that I think are different than other genres of music. Bluegrass is traditional, just like we've kind of already been talking about. Well, they've got going on and have going on for years. It's word of mouth. It's passed down to people. Before the internet and before technology, going way back. The only way you learned a bluegrass song is when you heard somebody else play it, and then you had to remember it so you could try to play it. And then, shortly after that, we got the radio, and you might have to sit there and listen all day long till something came on the radio that you were waiting for, to hear how that break went. Um, and then, things kind of drift into CDs and records and tapes and all the different formats we've had throughout the years. Now everything's just a touch away from our fingertips here on all this technology. And so, but I think now more than ever, we're losing tradition. We're losing way of passing things down because everything is moving so quick. So I think just to me, it was very inspiring to be in there and see some of those artifacts and see how they made their way there. And since then, just digging more and more into this, knowing how bluegrass has been kept alive for the last century or so is a pretty spectacular thing. And I hope that this project here we got going can be a part of that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just kind of getting into, maybe some of the features of the website, as, Hunter's talking about trying to pass on this time honored tradition and, That's what kind of the idea of the website is trying to just encapsulate that, just a minute encapsulation of, the history behind everything and having an avenue to show, the people that aren't, up to date and aren't, or wanting to learn more history of bluegrass. That's kind of what Bluegrass Roadshow is just telling the history and, letting the new folk in and letting them, show that, how deep the history runs and, what all it really has to offer at the end of the day.
And I think we've both been working hard on this project, really since the first of the year, since January, and trying to figure out, what direction we're gonna take it. I think we're both, pretty over the top OCD fellas, so when we do something, we wanna do it right, and, like I've mentioned, me and Sonny have done plenty of fun things and other projects together over the years, but this is one that I think we both took serious to another degree, and knew that there was something more here that we wanted to kind of build on. And it's slowly evolved into this website and figuring out all of this technology. I'll go ahead and say I'm technologically not advanced. Sonny can give you a little bit of his background, but I know he's a little bit more advanced than I with a little bit of sound and video and that kind of thing. So I put my trust in him to help me build this project, and I'm just glad to see where everything's come. And now we're really excited to put it out into the world and get it launched. We think what we've created um, is something unique, it's something special, and we think others will get a kick out of it and will make it useful. Ultimately, I want to make people's lives easier while putting out something that I physically enjoy doing, and this is something that's brought me a lot of joy. Even though really nobody's had the chance to take a look at it yet, we're definitely both excited about the website and ready to launch it here coming up this week. So, um, if you're listening to this episode, the website is live. It's bluegrassroadshow.com. If you aren't already, you can check us out on everything else: Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing. Um, but I want to touch a little bit on the features of the website, and I'll let Sonny kind of get into the logistics of it too, of what we built there. As I mentioned before, this calendar service that we've decided to run. Um, it's taken a little bit of fine tuning, but I think it's gotten where it needs to be. I believe we've got over 120 different individual artists on there, and about 150 plus festivals. And the whole idea behind it is, no shade by any means, but everybody knows where Billy String's next show is. Everybody know when and where Bonnaroo is going on. But there's so many things else out there in bluegrass and in traditional music. Some of them that have been going on for 40 plus years, and some of them that are just starting out. That being said, everything has its ebbs and flows in life, and I think now is more than ever important to support your local music scene, as well as people who are just coming up and trying to get things going, or guys that have been around for years, or festivals that just need a little revitalization. They need us, this new generation, to come behind and support them. So we've put together the calendar service, and I'll kind of let Sonny talk about the features of it a little bit more here.
Yeah, I mean, kind of what, Hunter touched on a little bit is, at the end of the day, when we, are putting out this final product, we are not going to put out anything that me and him both don't agree on. And we have, blood, sweat, and tears have gone into this project of fine tuning everything between the looks of it, the text of it, everything, down to a T. And, Hunter has envisions that, he really, really likes, and he kind of lays all of them out for me. And I just try to, you know, paint the picture for him the best I can. And, building this website has definitely been a challenge for me. I have a little bit of a background in, trying to create some things like this, a tech background. Hunter touched on the audio visual background as well. And I'm always up for a challenge when it comes to stuff like this. And this one has been, challenging, but at the end of the day, it's been very rewarding getting to see everything that is going on the website. So basically, kind of the base of the website we're going for is kind of like an old school kind of newspaper as you're flipping through it and you're kind of seeing what's going on in bluegrass today. Um, the real cool thing, like Hunter kind of spoke on a little bit, the calendar service. This one has been very, very, challenging at times to work with, but at the end of the day, the final product that we are, putting out on this is very cool, and I think it's very state of the art. Not a lot of people are really doing stuff like this when it comes down to breaking down per state and getting to see where these festivals are and these acts are coming close to you. When Hunter first kind of showed me an example of this, I was kind of blown away because I didn't realize how many, you know, just bands in general is kind of where I first saw the idea, based off of, and it was something kind of similar to ours, but and I was like, "Wow, okay, this is neat. I understand this. I can see how this is gonna work." And then we kinda were able to expand on it a little bit more and, choose each month and, where you're at. Okay, say you're traveling back and forth, from home to somewhere else, and, you're traveling for a week and you wanna see, "Hey, what's going on this month in, Colorado or California or, out in North Carolina somewhere," and you're able to go through the website and select where you're gonna be at and, where your home state's at. And also, if you're just searching out bands and you want to find, hey, where's 65 North Pickers playing this weekend? We got a search bar up top that you can go and search out those acts and everything else. And then the next cool part of the site is the read tab. Um, Hunter's not going to say it as much, but I'm going to speak for him. Hunter is a very good writer when it comes to these kind of things. He puts a lot of thought and effort into putting out these articles of history and kind of the meaningfulness behind songs, behind the scenes of stuff that is going on in bluegrass history and bluegrass today, and that has been a very cool thing to see. He's been putting a lot of hard work into that. I'm very proud of him for that, and I'm excited for you guys to get to read these articles. I've read them 1,000 times over. He keeps sending me different ones, and I keep reading them, and it's very cool to get to be able to read these, and I'm excited for you guys to get to read these. There's a difference between we have a blog and a news section, where we're kind of posting up to date in bluegrass today, and then just different, kind of figuring out, what's going on, telling you kind of the history that people aren't, really showcasing today. Um, for songs that you guys are listening to and you're like, "Man, I wonder what the history is behind this." And, that's kind of what the goal is here on this site. And then, you click on the next tab over and it's the Acts tab where it shows you the different artists and festivals that we have listed up there. Um, Click on artists, you go through all the artists, and then when you're on the main page, actually, we have don't see your favorite act or anything. We have a tab on there that we built in because we thought, man, we're putting people up here that, we know, we've heard of, blah, blah, blah. We want to, hear from you guys, hear what you guys have to say on this. This is kind of a big thing that we've worked on is, we don't want to be the main contributors to the site. We want to hear from you guys and what you guys want to hear and what you guys want to see on the site and whenever for different artist festivals, everything else on the site. We're for the people here at Bluegrass Roadshow. And then you go to the gallery. We have different pictures and videos of different acts and everything else. Um, as we're going through all this too, bear with us. This is still kind of a work in progress. We're still, iron out all the kinks here, but we're happy with where the site's at now, and I'm excited for you guys to get to look and see all the different pictures and all the different videos on here, and just the layout of the site. And I'm excited to hear feedback on it and everything else. Don't worry, you guys sending your emails and everything else. Any tweaks you guys want to make, please let me know. Reach out to us and say, hey, I think, maybe something like this, or, hey guys, whenever I get on my phone, it doesn't look as good. And, we're here for you. We want to make sure your experience is the best as possible on the site. And I'm excited for you guys to take a look at it.
I think I couldn't have said it any better than that right there. Um, and a couple things I wanted to kind of touch on there is just double back. It's on that act section where we've got our artists and festivals. Like Sonny said, we only can put out what we know. And so we want to hear from you guys. Who do we not have on here? Who do we not know about? Or who do you think we not know about that we can include? We want to put spotlight on anyone and everyone that is well deserving to this. So please reach out to us. And then also, if you're just on our homepage there, you can join our mailing list, which we would greatly, greatly appreciate everyone and encourage you all to do. The mailing list is when you're going to stay the most up to date. You can obviously check the website out at any time of the day and see what's going on, but any large updates will get sent there on the mailing list. But also, kind of what Sonny touched on a little bit there, where my writings are, is the news, and then is the blog. So every month moving forward here, starting in July, we're going to be releasing a monthly newsletter. And that will eventually, at the end of the month, be posted on the website. But we want to keep it exclusive to the mailing list for the first 30 days, for that first full month. So that being said, please subscribe to the mailing list where you will get our monthly newsletter, keeping you up to date on what happened last month in bluegrass and what we got to look forward to here in the coming month. And there's a little spotlight on there. So, and if you have any suggestions for that as well, please reach out. We will take anybody's consideration by just looking at this and telling us, how they feel and how it operates. Like Sonny said, it's still a work in progress, but we've been working on this thing so dang long that it's finally time to put it out there for the world. And you're never going to get any solid feedback if people can't see it. So we're just going to go ahead and
Absolutely.
throw it out there for y'all to look at. Like I said, if you're listening to this right now, the website is live. So please go check that out. And just some plans that we've got moving forward for this. We're sitting here talking to you, obviously, and I think this is the Bluegrass Roadshow talk show, we can say, where we're going to come to you guys here periodically, just as a unit, and kind of talk to you guys similar to that in that newsletter. But maybe, just what's going on in an audio form, but also provides you with exclusive interviews with people in the bluegrass and music industry. And although this is Bluegrass Roadshow, I think bluegrass encapsulate a lot of different music and a lot of different people. So who knows what we'll be talking about on the website and hearing from. Don't expect it to be just strictly old trad grass. There's plenty of jam. We love our reggae and roots music, and I think that all kind of falls under this, same kind of traditional folk. Just this style of being a human being, and creating something unique that really comes from inside. And that brings people together. That's what we want to do with the site, just like the music does, is bring people together. So keep an eye out on this, as we'll be dropping new episodes here. Um, and then also, as we talked about, the newsletter there. And then right now, actually, as you're listening to this, you can go ahead and just move on over to our first official episode with bluegrass band out of Bozeman, Montana, named North Fork Crossing. I had an opportunity to sit down with those guys a week or so ago, and just talk to them about what they got going on out there. They recently put out a new album titled Portland Rose. It's very unique. It's a good mix of traditional string band music with that kind of jam feeling. So please go check that out after this. That being said, it's really unique to hear what they got going on out there. Bozeman, Montana, the scene as far as bluegrass music has really grown over there in the last decade or so. Obviously, pickers and grinners have been around for as long as time all over the world. But it's cool to see these unique places popping up. Colorado's been on the scene and had their thing going since the '90s, and Kentucky and Nashville and the Appalachian Mountain Range there has always been known for bluegrass music and country music, traditional music. However, it goes on everywhere, including worldwide. I've been recently put on to some guys over in Europe that are doing it in a few different countries, and they're starting up a couple bluegrass festivals. So here one of these days on one of these episodes, I'll go into a little bit more detail about what they got going on there. But it's just cool to see. This sound, I think, is more enjoyable, more presentable, and more listened to than ever before. So I'm just glad to be here and to be a part of it and be contributing in this. Um, and then also, if you heard it at the beginning there, and you're going to hear it at the end, and you're going to hear it in every episode moving forward, is the old Bluegrass Roadshow jingle. We decided we needed a little theme song, so I hit up Jake McNulty from 65 North Pickers. Very, very nice young gentleman over there. He's got a great head of hair on him, and he knows how to pick a good mandolin. That being said, I thought nobody better to write something for us than Jake, and he came through with the quickness. He took it serious, and man, he provided something that I've listened to 100 or so times now. It's only 60 seconds long, so I might have to hit him back up and tell him to expand on that baby a little bit. But I just wanted to put a special shout out to Jake out there for coming through with the quickness, as well as just being so respectful and presentable about it. Um, if you guys aren't aware of them already, go check them out. 65 North Pickers, coming out of Lexington, Kentucky. Some younger cats in the scene, but they really got it going on, and they hold themselves well, and they present themselves well to the world, and are putting out some great music. And hopefully we get some more new music from them this year. But go check out their first studio album that they put out last year. It's one of my favorites on there, Town Branch Blues. I know me and Sonny have listened to that one
Whew,
countless times rolling down the road.
too many times to count on one hand.
I think we're gonna keep playing her too. I'm excited. We're gonna be seeing those boys a couple of times this year. Um, what else we got planned for the year, old Sonny?
Man, where do we begin? I mean, obviously, I think I need to get hop on the site and see what shows are close to us, and see what we're gonna have to hit up, and maybe map out our route along the way, and see what we're gonna have to hit this year. I mean, I think coming up in August we got the Ionia Freak Fair. Looking forward to that, and some other closer to home shows, Billy shows, but also trying to catch some of them smaller acts along the way is always kind of what brings the excitement to it, and going on tour per se.
Yeah, I think here in just a couple weeks we got the Romp Fest going on down there in Owensboro. So I think we might try and make it out there for a day or two. If anybody's listening to this is down there at the Romp, or they're planning to head to the Romp, shoot us a message. We'd love to hook you up with some swag. Um,
Absolutely.
Love to see you out there. Speaking of swag, we've definitely got some merch and some things dropping. So stay tuned to all the socials and the website over the coming months, as we've got some really kind of unique projects. And we don't just want to throw stuff out there with our logo on it for you guys to buy. At the end of the day, we want to put out some unique, original stuff. And I think the ideas we've been stewing up are some real good ones. So I look forward to you guys seeing those. Um, Speaking of those ideas, we do have one of our own events kind of coming up here at the first weekend of August. There, August 7th and 8th. It's a Friday and Saturday up in Fishers. Billy Strings is playing at the Fishers Event Center, but the pre-mentioned 65 North Pickers are going to be doing a show from about 1 to 5, not too far down the road at Sun King Brewing there in Fishers, Indiana. So y'all come out to the first Bluegrass Roadshow event, where we're going to have 65 out there and maybe some more friends for 2 days of fun, and plenty of vendors, good beer, and good food. So come on out to that one. We look forward to seeing all your guys' smiling faces out there. As for the rest of the year, it's hard to say. Me and Sonny know how to put some miles on. Um, I think we might be planning on to try to catch a day or two of the IBMA down there in Tennessee come October. So we'll see how that goes. And I'd also love to talk to anybody about the IBMA conference there that they do every year. So if anybody's been down there or plans on going down there, you can feel free to reach out to us wherever you find. Speaking of, Sonny's put a little tool into the website, but if you go check out the top right hand corner of our website, you'll find direct links to everything: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Substack, Reddit, all the good stuff. And of course, our mailing list there, and the website. And the email is just the same as the website at bluegrassroadshow@gmail.com. So go ahead and shoot us your suggestions, friendly conversations, and anything we can do to make your lives better. We sure do appreciate it. And I just appreciate you guys already taking the time here and sitting to me and old Sonny ramble and talk about what we got going on. I'm sure this is just the first of many that we got coming here. So thank you guys, and I'll let Sonny take us out.
Yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode 0 of the Bluegrass Roadshow talk show. Really looking forward to what's in store here. popping up at different locations and, just recording a pod is going to be a heck of a time. And I'm glad you guys are along for the journey here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. That kind of supports us on our end and keeps us going here at the Bluegrass Roadshow Talk Show. Any support is greatly appreciated. We're going to be on all the major podcast platforms: Apple, Spotify, Amazon, everything that we can kind of get out on. So yeah, follow us along on those. Be looking forward to, turn your notifications on for the podcast, everything else, and, be following along with us. We're going to try to drop some meaningful episodes and some more interviews coming up here in the future. And yeah, buckle up and get on the train with us.
Couldn't have said it better. All aboard the old Bluegrass Roadshow. Until next time, we'll see you guys soon. If the Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise, we'll see you another time.